Hey guys, YouTuber Nugget here. Okay, and in this video I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the new Joker movie. So, yeah, I finally went to go see the movie today, and yeah, I'm just going to be like giving my thoughts about the movie and, you know, and just like how I feel that it really did like turn out as far as like the start for like this new movie series that DC is now doing apart from the DC Extended Universe. I'm gonna be like just talking about where I feel like the where this series can now go. Right. So as usual, like this video is going to contain some spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, you may not want to watch this video until you have seen it, or if you're fine with spoilers, then you can just continue watching it. All right. So yeah. So this new Joker movie, I did think that it was a pretty good movie. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that this movie is just like really getting like a lot of love. Like at work, I've been hearing like my coworkers talk about just like how amazing this movie was, and yeah, man, I was of course like extremely curious to check it out. I mean, especially seeing, as I said, this film really is the start of like a new sort of film series that DC is now having that's apart from the DC Extended Universe. They're like calling this uh, movie series, they're like referring to it as like a DC Black. And this series is like um, is supposed to be having like a darker a darker tone than the DC Extended Universe with some more experimental material in it. So yeah, and of course, like this one was a darker film. Like this film had an R rating, so yeah, so that was like a sign that this film was going to be like darker than a lot of the other DC movies, and yeah, it was. Yeah, and I really did like this film. I mean, I did think that this was a pretty good, sort of like Joker movie because this movie, yeah, as far as like the origins for the Joker, this film isn't really like really following the comics as far as like the Joker origins. This film was really like just kind of like telling like a different tale about like how the Joker really did come about. And yeah, like it, and I haven't really like read like how the Joker really did like get his origins in the comics, so I really don't know like how different and it is in the comics and how this film does it. But yeah, the way this film like does like give the Joker like sort of like his origins and really like what led up to him really becoming the Joker, I did think that they did a pretty good job with this. Yeah. Yeah, so of course, like this film has Joaquin Phoenix in the role of the Joker, and Joaquin Phoenix did a really good job in this film. I mean, yeah, Jared Leto can just absolutely eat his heart out. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that Jared Leto is apparently like angry of the fact that there isn't a Joker movie with his Joker from Suicide Squad being in this. But I mean, who wants to see a Joker film with a Jared Leto's Joker? Because yeah, he sucked as the Joker. So why would anybody even want a film with that? Yeah, so yeah, don't be jealous just because somebody else is trying to do the character justice after your interpretation of the Joker failed miserably, Jared. Yeah, but yeah, a pretty good film. I really did like this. I mean, I really did like how they really did like have the Joker really like be like not really like mentally like totally stable in the head. Like he is like kind of like a crazy psychopath in this movie, and I really did like how they like wrote the character in here as far as like origins of him becoming the Joker. Yeah, I really did like how they did it here. I mean, yeah, the film is basically just showing like with like the Joker being like in Gotham, it's showing that Gotham is really just a really not a good place to be. Like it's just full of like crimes and unemployments and just this like really bad sanitation. And yeah, it's just like a lot of like segments of the town are just like impoverished and disenfranchised and so yeah, it basically is just showing like the Joker is really like living in some really bad conditions and just like the town's not really filled with good people, and it's just really causing him to just totally snap and just really become the Joker. And so yeah, and like I said, as like a different sort of interpretation for the origins of the character, I really did think that they did a pretty good job with this. I really do think that this would have even made Heath Ledger proud. I mean, yeah, of course, like Heath Ledger was just like absolutely outstanding as the Joker. I mean, I've talked about before, he was just absolutely phenomenal as the Joker, one of the best performances ever. And yeah, it would have been great if we would have actually gotten to see like a entire film just like set around Heath Ledger's Joker. But yeah, it was that, of course, like he died after filming The Dark Knight. So yeah, so we really didn't get any more of him. So yeah, kind of unfortunate that it happened since it was such a phenomenal performance. But yeah, but Joaquin Phoenix, like with this sort of like interpretation of the character, yeah, he did a pretty good job with this. Joaquin Phoenix, I would probably say overall, like in film, he probably is like the second best Joker so far in film, right? Yeah, he's of course behind Heath Ledger. I do like him, of course, like better than Jared Leto. Of course, he's better than Jared Leto. I mean, isn't everybody? And I even do like him better than Jack Nicholson in Batman. So yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, he is like a pretty good Joker, and I do enjoy him in the role. Yeah, he did a really good job in this film. Yeah, and like I said, I really do like how this film really does interpret his character. I do like how it really is making him he's not really like a total bad guy when this film really does start. Like it does kind of show, like you can kind of like see what would like lead him to really like become like so insane and become the Joker and kill people. Well, just because of how his life has been and just the people that he really just come around, it really just does really make him like absolutely just eventually just make him snap and he just does start to kill people. So yeah, his like motivations are like kind of understandable. I mean, I really was like really hoping that this film wouldn't really like be the same thing like the Venom movie was, where it was just like show the character in a different sort of um light, where like you wouldn't really like interpret him like as a villain or an anti-hero or anything like that, and it would like kind of just like make him seem like a good guy from another perspective. I really didn't want that to happen with this film, and that's really not what we got. I mean, it showed that the Joker is necessarily like not necessarily like just a main protagonist in this film. Like he does like do like quite the number of cold things in this film, and of course like he kills people and he just like ends up totally snapping, and yeah, he just really, yeah, it's not just something where he like he is like from a different perspective a good guy in this. Like it's not really like that. Like he is still like overall like you're not really like totally rooting for him in this film, but at the same time like you can kind of like understand like why he does the things that he does. So yeah, so I do kind of like I do can like appreciate that while they didn't really like make him do this like same tone as Venom did, they did like kind of like make it like understandable why he really does do the things that he does. So yeah, so overall, I do think that this was a pretty good way to sort of like introduce the character from a different sort of in a different sort of way than the original origins went. Yeah. So yeah, overall, I do think that it is a pretty good movie. Not really like I wouldn't really call it like an absolutely great movie, but I mean, it still was like a pretty enjoyable film. I mean, it is better than like quite the number of films that have been from the DC Extended Universe. Like, of course, like the DC Extended Universe, just like, from like how rushed it ended up being, and it really like made the films not turn out that good. But yeah, they did like get like some like the last couple of DC films. Like ever since Zack Snyder left, it seems like DC is like really trying to redeem themselves and try to get the universe better. But I mean, yeah, because of like just like how much it was rushed up to the Justice League film, it really just does make it really suffer. So I do kind of like that they now started this new one with this film where they can kind of like kind of like just start it over and just try fresh and new again and just try to do another series like that they can actually kind of like do right and try to make it really good. Now, of course, like this film really does not, it really doesn't compare to a lot of the Marvel films that have been made, but I mean, still like of course this isn't Marvel, this is DC, and it's like in a new line of DC films, and I do think that it is a pretty good way to start it off, and I just really hope that we can see more of this character in the future. All right, but anyway, let me just talk a little bit about the plot for this film. All right, so this film is set like in like 1981, and then it showed that the Joker, or rather, he's called Arthur Fleck in this film. So yeah, they do give him like a different name for just like his like normal self in this film, rather than like in a lot of the films we really don't know what his actual name is. But of course, like in Batman, like Tim Burton's Batman, and of course, like he did have a actual name, like his name was Jack Napier, and in this film his name is Arthur Fleck. So yeah, they did give him a different name. Yeah, I don't actually know like if they ever did like reveal like his like actual name in the comics at all. I don't know if like that was ever revealed, or like if they ever did like reveal his name in the animated series or anything else like that. So yeah, but here they actually do give him like a normal civilian name. His name is Arthur Fleck in this film, and it's shown that as this film starts, Arthur, he's like a party clown and a stand-up comedian living in Gotham with his mother Penny. And yeah, like I said, Gotham is just not a very good place, and he's like and Arthur apparently in this film it's shown that he's like suffering from a disorder that is really causing him to laugh at inappropriate times. So yeah, I thought that was interesting that they like at least gave a reason for him like always like for his maniacal laugh. He just laughs at like some stuff that he really shouldn't be, and I do like that they at least give an explanation for that in this film because it's a disorder that he has. Yeah, yeah. And then and yeah, and apparently he also like depends on like municipal social services for therapy, and he takes a lot of medication as well for his disorders and stuff. Yeah, and after he ended up being attacked in an alley by a gang, and one of his coworkers, Randall, lent him a snub-nosed revolver to protect himself with, and later on, Arthur then like came across like his neighbor, a single mother named Sophie Dummin, and she invites him to his first stand-up routine, and then they like start to date after like Arthur like starts to follow her around, and then yeah, she then just like starts to like just see something in him, and they then like started to date. Yeah, yeah. But then Arthur then eventually ended up getting fired from his job because as he was entertaining at a children's hospital, the gun that Randall gave him ended up falling out of his pocket, and he tried to explain to his boss that it was just a prop for part of his act. But yeah, his boss didn't buy that, and yeah, Randall also like ended up lying and said that Arthur bought the gun for himself, and then yeah, Arthur ended up being fired from his job. And as Arthur was like taking the subway home, he was still like in his full clown outfit, and three uh, drunken businessmen for Wayne Enterprises ended up attacking him and beating him down. But then, and yeah, Arthur then like pulled out the gun and shot two of the businessmen in self-defense, and then he started to target the third one, and the third guy tried to get away, but Arthur was able to gun him down and destroy him. And yeah, and and yeah, then the murders then ended up like being condemned by Thomas Wayne, who was now a candidate for mayor in the next election. And of course, like Thomas Wayne, this is of course Bruce Wayne's father. And in this film, like it's shown that uh, Arthur's mother apparently like has had a history of some sort with Thomas Wayne that they're like letting on about, but yeah, they never actually revealed it. But yeah, it's like hinted that Thomas Wayne is possibly Arthur's biological father. Yeah, and I should also mention that in this film, uh, Arthur and Penny, and you also like are a fan of this late night talk show host Murray Franklin, who was played by Robert De Niro. And after Arthur actually attended a filming of his show, or taping of his show, Murray ended up talking to Arthur after he spoke up in the crowd. How'd yeah, and then Murray then ended up inviting Arthur to appear on his show during the week. And and then at one point when Arthur ended up learning more about Thomas Wayne, and from his mother, then he then ended up paying a visit to Wayne Manor, and then Arthur ended up talking to Thomas's son, Bruce. So this is Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, and this is him as a child. So it's interesting to see that it's the Joker as a adult and Batman as a child. But then again, this is kind of like how it was in Tim Burton's Batman, because the Joker ended up killing Bruce's parents when he was a boy. So I guess it does make sense to do this. Still, and and then as Arthur was just talking to Bruce, then Alfred then came along. Of course, in this film, Alfred's much younger, and he just kept Arthur away from Bruce. And then after Arthur had a small little scuffle with Alfred, Arthur ended up fleeing. And then and then later on that night, Penny then ended up suffering a stroke and was taken to the hospital. And then Arthur then ended up being confronted by two Gotham City Police Department detectives. And they were questioning Arthur about his involvement in the train murders. But Arthur was just denying that he had anything to do with it. And later on at a public event, and as Arthur then confronted Thomas Wayne about what his mother had told him, Thomas was just telling Arthur that Penny is just delusional, and she's not actually his biological mother, and he's not his father. And Thomas was just telling Arthur that Penny had actually adopted him as a child. And Arthur just didn't believe that, and then Arthur then visited Arkham State Hospital, where Penny was over 30 years ago, and then he ended up stealing Penny's case file from the workers there, and as he read the file, it said that Arthur was in fact adopted as a baby, and then Penny's abusive boyfriend then was actually harming both of them, and Penny alleged that Thomas used his influence to fabricate the adoption and commit her to the asylum to hide their affair. And then, that just ended up just making Arthur absolutely distraught, and then he just absolutely snapped, and then he ended up killing Penny by suffocating her with a pillow. And then as he returned home, then he just entered Sophie's apartment unannounced, and then Sophie was just absolutely frightened of Arthur and just had him leave, and it showed that just Arthur was just having delusions when they were having their previous encounters before. And then Arthur then later on the same day that he was going to appear on Murray's talk show, he then was visited by Randall and another former colleague of his, Gary, who was a really small guy, a midget. And then as they were talking, then Arthur then just ended up murdering Randall. But because Gary was really the only one that was actually nice to Arthur all the time, Arthur let Gary live and didn't even harm him and let him go. And then as Arthur was on his way to the studio in full clown makeup and wardrobe and stuff, he ended up being pursued by the two detectives. And then as Arthur tried to run, he then boarded a train that was filled with other clown protesters. Because of the death of the three businessmen, it just started a protest with everyone in Gotham wearing clown masks and stuff. And then one detective ended up accidentally shooting one protester, and a riot then ended up starting. And then Arthur ended up escaping in the chaos. And then as Arthur then arrived at the studio, as he was like waiting in the dressing room, Murray then just stopped in to see Arthur and say hi to him. And then as Murray was getting ready to go start the show, Arthur then just asked Murray if he could introduce him as Joker, which is a reference to the previous mockery that Murray was making of Arthur when he was speaking to him on the show before. Yeah. And during the show, then Arthur then came out introduced as Joker once again, and then it was initially like a warm reception that he got as he came out. But then as he was talking to Murray, he was like telling some morbid jokes, like just laughing about murders. And then he admitted that he killed the men on the train, and then he then just went on a rant about how society ended up abandoning the disenfranchised, and how Murray mocked him. And then he was just talking more and more about like how life is just a joke, and he ended up just shooting and killing Murray. And then everyone then just like started to riot in the studio, and then Arthur then and like the police were called, but Arthur then just like was running down out of the studio, and riots were just like breaking out all across Gotham. And then one rioter ended up just like cornering like Bruce and his parents out, Thomas and Martha, and of course like he ended up shooting Thomas and Martha, but spared Bruce. So it's pretty much just what we've seen over and over again with Bruce's parents being killed. We saw it in Batman, we saw it in Batman Begins, we saw it in Batman vs. Superman, and now we see it again. So I guess this is just like something that we're going to be seeing over and over and over again in movies. Yeah. But then, and as Arthur then like ended up being like taken into police custody, as he was in a police car, or there was then like rioters that like hijacked an ambulance and crashed into the police car. And Arthur was of course knocked unconscious, but the other rioters ended up freeing him and then just placed him on top of the police car, and then he then rose and just danced to the cheers of the crowd. And then later on, it then showed Arthur now committed at Arkham State Hospital. I guess this is like another version of Arkham Asylum. And then as he was being tested by a psychiatrist, he was just laughing to himself and just tell his psychiatrist she wouldn't understand the joke. And then he was just running from other orderlies, and as he was running, it just like showed like there were some bloody footprints behind him. And then it just like had a song playing as he was just walking down the hallways of the hospital. And then then it just read the end. So that's how the movie ended. So like I said, this was a pretty good film. It was definitely a really interesting take on the origins of the Joker, seeing how this really is not like how his origins were originally in the comics. So it is interesting to like see kind of a different take on the character than the usual interpretation of him is. So I did like that they tried to do something new with the Joker here, and it turned out being a pretty good way of doing it. And so I guess they did succeed with this. So so it is a pretty good film. And I can only hope that we will get some more of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in the future, because really just the actual Joker, like Joker himself, he really is not like in this film like that much. He really doesn't come until like the last like 30 minutes or so of the film. So my brother was like talking, because my brother did go see this movie with me. He was saying how he was just expecting more of this film. He really just was hoping that there would be some more Joker in this film, but given that this is really more like the origins of the Joker, I can understand like the lack of like the Joker himself in this movie. So hopefully, since this movie seems to be doing well enough, hopefully someday they will like do a sequel to this where we will get more Joker, and who knows like what else like DC's planning to do with this DC Black series that they're doing. I mean, I know they got like another a new Batman movie coming out with Robert Pattinson as Batman. I don't know if like that's actually going to be part of this DC Black series, or if it is going to be like part of the DC extended universe, or if they're just like going to have this be like a standalone film. And what other films that DC has planned for this DC Black series. But whatever they do plan to do with like Joker and whatever other films that they do for this DC Black series, hopefully they can do a good job with this. Like I said, since like the DC extended universe really has not been doing so well due to how rushed it was up to Justice League. I think just now with them starting up the series with this film, like I said, it seems like DC just wants to like kind of like do start over with a series like this and just do it fresh and new, so they can actually like do it like try to do it like right this time and try to do a good job on it this time. So yeah, so hopefully like wherever this DC Black series goes, hopefully they can do a good job with this, and hopefully we'll see more of the Joker in the future. So yeah, so overall I do say that this film definitely is worth a watch. And if you really are like curious, if you're like a big DC and Joker fan, and I don't know like how actual like diehard fans of the comics would feel about this film, but yeah, if you can like take like the changes for it, and if you really are like curious just to see a different interpretation of the Joker, give this film a watch. It definitely is like worth the watch. So yeah, I do recommend this film. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. All right. So I guess that's all I really have to say about it. So those are my thoughts on the Joker movie. So I hope you guys did enjoy what I had to say about this film. So yeah. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.